This is the map pick by HOTSLADY to choose. So, how is this one going to go? I don't know what the win percentages for either of these teams are. I'm trying to think of like big poignant ones. 80% by HOTSLADY, and currently KT only have one loss on it. So that is a very sensible choice by HOTSLADY going by just the statistics.
Yeah, now we understand why HOTSLADY chose Battlefield of Eternity. A really, really good record, 4-1, and they might have actually done some additional homework as well, scouting out that KT, you know, so far hasn't really performed that well on Battlefield of Eternity. So, are we going to see the usual suspects here? The Genji ban, the Haka ban, although on Eternal Battlefield, or Battlefield of Eternity, I don't expect the Daka to be banned immediately. Instead, nope, KT, they're like, no more poison, please.
Yeah, me and Grubby came up with the idea of it is instead of a poison, because it technically isn't a poison, we are calling it a dot. Only instead of damage over time, he is just draining your soul, so it is death over time. We had some help with the chat for that one, because
does that mean the Malthael player is always going to shout more dots, more dots, more dots?
I mean, he literally is nothing but dots. That's the entire hero design. Give dots, please.
I would actually love it if Blizzard added a different color for those kinds of non-poisonous abilities, but of course
it is percentage damage. I would not mind a different color for it in this particular case. Like if it's like Kael'thas's Living Bomb or Stitch's Putrid Vial or Spider Poison, etc. It's not as... I don't mind them all being the same, but percentage damage, I can see the logic.
Yeah. Speaking of quality of life changes, by the way, like, me personally, I'm in love with Heroes of the Storm, right? Don't get me wrong. But what I really want to see in the game is a different visual indicator of armor. I think right now it is sometimes not clear, or immediately clear, which target is armored and by how much they're armored. So I would really love to see, for example, different colors for magic armor, and overall armor, and physical armor. What is your take on that?
I'd like that. I would
maybe a little number next to it as well.
Yeah, a little mini number in the shield. Like they currently have the shield next to the name. But that can, one, be overridden, like if one is going over the top. Yeah. So it's very hard to tell. So,
So yeah, maybe even like a slight shimmer. That when you're, like, the more armor you get, the more your shimmer is, like a metallic shimmer around you. But I don't know. The possibilities are endless, and that's personally like the one tiny little thing, the one quality of life change that I would love to see at some point.
Can certainly see the logic. We will see if that does end up happening. For now, Greymane coming in once again, and it's the Tyrael for KT this time. So they have already double invulnerable potential for Greymane, or a judgment into Greymane damage. So they already have potential for burst or sustained fighting.
Exactly, and it's going to be so interesting to see a Genji again. Now, remember, guys, when SPT... Melody C, to be precise, plays the Genji on Battlefield of Eternity, they're going for a sneaky little trick, going for the middle fountain right off the get-go, jumping over the wall and then just unleashing shuriken volley after shuriken volley until the middle fountain has been destroyed. And that's actually something that Melody C has been getting away with consistently, but not all of the other teams are following suit here, so...
Yeah. We sort of don't even know what it is worth, because other teams, at least a solid team, will always just immediately push, knowing that Genji is not there, and try and get some push value in one of the lanes, in one four-man lane. So we're still not sure whether it is worth. It really depends on how good the rest of your team is at defending.
Yeah, and so far, which is something that is highly untypical for the Chinese region, we haven't seen a single Kharazim, have we? So maybe it is time with the Rhaegar banned out, the Oriel not really making a whole lot of sense for HOTSLADY so far.
Mouse available?
Yeah, maybe.
Mouth, Ariel, like you said, the Kharazim. Morales is available as well. They're leaving it till last. Tychus coming in as well as Arthas, so they have a good comp to start fighting and burning down that Greymane already. And the Tychus prepared for if it ends up being a double tank, and if not, he can just pop Odin and Siege.
There we go. Tychus, I think it's also the first showing for him. Arthas, though, really, really solid against what KT has so far. If Greymane goes into the Worgen form, they're already going to have a triple frontline with Uther and Tyrael in the mix too, so the crazy movement speed and attack speed slow from Arthas is going to get even more value. Now, what I want to see here on the side of KT is maybe even more tank shredding, because the Cursed Bullet against Arthas already is super solid. Maybe pack in a Leoric in there as well to really threaten the front line a little bit more, because so far there is no big panic button for the Arthas if he falls rapidly. In fact, we're used to seeing in Europe, for example, Arthas dying so quickly with the Cursed Bullet and other focus damage that he can't even zap a couple of those ghouls.
I like the idea of Leoric Karazim here.
Me too.
Double support, seven-sided strike. They pick neither of them. They go with the Dahaka once again, bringing him in, so they do have that rotational potential. In fact, the double global once again coming in. Karazim, though, is picked up by HOTSLADY, as we did predict.
There we go. We see our favorite Battle Monk being deployed for the first time. It's probably going to be Palmy on him. I can't recall on top of my head how good his Karazim was, because he's normally more in those slightly safer, less playmaky supports.
Rhaegar.
Exactly.
Yeah, not seen his Karazim, at least from my memory. I'm pretty sure he played him. I just do not know where. I will have to check that later. For now, though, both comps look pretty good. KT, very familiar comp to last time.
Yeah, this time it looks like KT tried to steal everything away from HOTSLADY that made them look so good in game number 1. This time they're the ones with a double global. No, actually, that's not true. They played double global in the first game too, so they're trying to just execute it better maybe this time.
Karazim is in fact his second most played hero. He has 8 games on Karazim and a 0% win rate.
But that had to be phase 1, right?
That's phase 1, yeah.
Yeah. Because I can't recall him picking him at all in phase 2, so let's see if he's still got it. If he's still got what it takes to play the Karazim, as well as...
see, indeed. Yeah. Currently, his top supports, Malfurion, Karazim, Rhaegar, Ariel, Uther, Morales, Lucio, and then Li Ming.
And that's, of course, the beauty of having a co-commentator like Tetcher in the mix, because if I had to look up all those stats, I would probably mess up production. And thank you for looking those up, buddy.
Yeah, pop quiz for you. There is only one support that Pommy plays that currently has an average or above win rate. Which one do you think it is?
There's only one that he's doing extremely well on. Is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, everything else has a less than 50% win rate. What's the
Easy,
one hero?
Lieutenant Morales.
Correct, 50% exactly on Morales. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready for the game. Everyone get hype.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, game number 2 here between 2 evenly matched teams. It is the HOTSLADY squadron on the left-hand side in the blues, represented by Y on that Tychus, Pommy on the Karazim, Liaz on his Anub'arak, Meng this time the big playmaker in Genji, and Carlo on the stereotypical ace Arthas.
Whereas on the other side we have Kudos top KT with T-Dye on Uther, Neptune on the Dahaka, Fury on Falstad, Seeing on Greymane, and Butcher on Tyrael.
Yeah, of course, it was an easy question for Tetcher to ask, but I appreciate the small quiz here, because we all remember the glorious Morales game that Kiss was able to pull out last phase, where they dismantled SOA. And I think that was their only map they ever won in phase 1.
It was indeed, but now on the different teams, he still has a couple extra points where he's been able to play Morales as well. Like we said, exactly 50% win ratio on that hero so far. Tyrael taking a couple tower shots. They weren't able to actually finish off the tower despite the 4-man rotation there.
Yeah, and already you can see how the HOTSLADY team is rotating accordingly. They don't want to go for the classical 4-1 split with both teams pushing as hard as they can. Instead, they go for the skirmish, a 4 versus 4, which is perfectly fine in my opinion, because I don't think they could have outpushed the Greymane anyway. Like, Genji's damage is not really that high, neither is Tychus' damage against buildings, and the Greymane Worgen attacks are just way scarier when it comes down to single target damage.
Yeah, I do like though that they are that KT are pushing in this lane. It always annoys me so much where we see the 4-man lane being the bot lane for both teams, because the Mercenaries, the Fallen Shaman, push different lanes for both teams. So in theory, it would make far more sense to push the lane that your Shaman is in, so that you're preparing for it to do more damage later on. So this is actually a more friendly lane for KT, as their Fallen Shaman can pull spawn in this lane, whereas for HOTSLADY, bot lane is the direction that theirs will go.
Yeah, we see a similar approach happening on other maps as well. Like Cursed Hollow, for example, you want to push the lane where your own boss is going to push on later to get more value potentially. And the same can be said, of course, about Sky Temple, where you sometimes want to rotate to bottom very early on, take out the fountain and the fort, so your second temple phase is going to be more valuable. But for now, we're going to focus back on Battlefield of Eternity. Both teams, actually, nope, it's only KT who are currently attacking the Immortal. HOTSLADY, they're focusing on getting kills here. I don't know if I agree with that decision.
Yeah, no, actually might be punished here as Greymane turns around, tries to focus onto Lias, and Lias gets dropped. He doesn't have his spell shield. He's in fact gone for spell shield Beetles.
Yeah, so KT, they're going for the kills here. By the way, my
Oh,
mistake.
Genji.
Oh, that stun could be a disaster for the Genji.
Oh, man.
He required more healing than anyone could have ever given to him. Pawmi also ends up falling here. A triple kill, baby, for KT. They defended their own Immortal very well, and now it is their turn to retaliate. And I think with the Greymane in the mix, and of course Falstad helping out here as well, it should be an easy task to get those remaining 50%.
Yeah, I need healing, but all the healing in the world could not save me from that kind of burst, from jumping accidentally, mind you, jumping accidentally into the Immortal stun. As we do see KT taking they're actually still a little bit behind in terms of Immortal health due to the consistent harassment by Carlo and Meng onto the KT Immortal. Now they're finally moving back in, continuing to poke, but they are going to lose the halftime race by the looks of it.
And on Battlefield of Eternity, guys, it's oftentimes really important to not continue attacking the Immortal when you're low in health and or mana. Sometimes it is more important to just wait a little bit, be a little bit more patient, go back to base, take a sip from the healing fountain, and continue to attack the Immortal only when you're fresh. Because even when you get kills early on, the low death timers cause your opponents to come back fully refreshed, and oftentimes if you didn't go back in time, you're going to find yourselves right after with a big advantage. So, we see an engage though by Dehaka.
Trying to get onto Lias, but Lias able to get out of range. Now it is going to be Sieg, who is taking a lot of damage because Arthur slowing the attack speed. It's going to be Dehaka who actually dies first.
Yeah, Dehaka a little bit out of position here. Now, mind you, Dehaka is a very hard target to kill in the first place, but if there's no enemies, if there's no allies nearby to even help you out in that disadvantaged situation, then you're going to fall. And HOTSLADY had really good shot calling there. Pawmi on the Kharazim also helping out to get rid of that Dehaka in the backline. So they get themselves a nice early game Immortal, and that one is actually looking pretty healthy. So strong to a fact that they might get the first fort if not defended well by KT.
Quite possibly. It's an over half shield, so it's going to do a lot of damage here. Arthur has been sent down to the bot lane. He's not staying there, though. He's coming up.
Yeah.
It looks like this is going to be a 5-man offense here. Nobody changes his mind.
No, yeah. Okay, I think that's probably the better decision because Dehaka otherwise would push in that lane. He would get more XP.
It was a reaction to Dehaka showing as well.
Exactly. Actually, that's a very good point. Sometimes when you don't have vision of Dehaka, you might expect him to use the Brush Stalker to, transform a defense into a 5 versus 14 fight. But for now, both warriors are still...
Oh, Falstads again. Yeah. This time, though, it was by KT. Falstad locked down. Now to Sieg. Getting chased, the overkill, picking up the kill.
Arthur's here.
Looking for more double knockup, but the Uther healing isn't enough. Yes, it is. Uther shall survive. But because of that, this Immortal is uncontested, and that fort is gone.
Yeah, and that was the reverse cast occurs. We actually talked about this fort potentially falling. Normally quite the opposite happens, but here it was actually about to come true. Now, HOTSLADY, solid early game advantage. 1 level, 1 fort ahead. And, I don't know, man. KT, they just don't seem to have the early game protection against the onslaught by HOTSLADY. It looks like Anubrag and Arthas in particular, they synchronize their crowd control abilities very well. The Impale and the Howling Blast making such a big difference. And something we completely forgot to talk about here, beat a build by a team other than Wukong Gaming.
Yeah, we did mention the beats, but we didn't mention the fact of how what it is played by. We have seen it before from a non-Wukong team too, to be fair.
Okay.
It is just so rare. It was usually against an Arthas. But in this case, we do see the first kill going down onto Kharazim. No more healing count. The second kill onto Tigers. HOTSLADY getting destroyed in this fight, but Dehaka gets dropped down in exchange. Carlo now being chased. He's moving back in, though. He knows he can't escape, so he's trying to get a counter kill onto Falstad. He may do so. Falstad just diving forwards to get the shield there.
those are the situations where you wish you had an Abathur to sit on you as an Arthas to maybe even get the kill on Fury, or maybe even get 2 kills. Like, you can do the craziest things with Arthas Abathur here. Now, we see another replay of that fight. Look at that engage. The Earth ally, not enough to keep Pommy safe. He gets taken out first. No Divine Palm either, no 7-sided, and it all goes south from there. Carlo arriving too late on that Arthas. Of course, the Haka is always going to be faster in the rotations, and then Carlo realizes, oh, I'm surrounded. There's no way for me out, so I'm just going to try to deal as much damage as I can before I die.
No second Beetle talent, single Beetle talent, and it's the worst one coming in from...
Okay, that triggers me a little bit.
Yeah, like, in theory, the Beetle shield, I believe it does protect against the immortal stuns, meaning the Beetles will survive a little bit longer, so you could get a little bit more regen if you took the regen Beetles. But now, it's literally... What are you trying to block Dahaka damage on your Beetles? For what? What purpose does this serve? As we do see a drag onto Arthas as he wades through, but with that Icebound Fortitude, he makes it through.
Icebound Fortitude, such a great talent, not only because it reduces all damage taken by 25, but also, more importantly, oftentimes it reduces the efficiency of all crowd control done against you. Now, Touchy, you bring up a good point. So, the abilities cast by those immortals count as magic damage, especially that AoE swipe. So you're right, the Beetles will survive that AoE swipe, also resulting in more damage dealt to the immortal overall, because you have those tiny little Beetles just nagging at him. But
so little.
Yeah, it's not really relevant in most cases.
Cocktail, the spell build Falstad. Oh, it's
I don't know.
Ever so slightly tilted. Either way, Carlo moving on to the Immortal, the aggressive Immortal here. HOTSLADY playing on the other side of the map, taking the risk here. The Iron Fist of Karazim able to drop a little bit of damage as well, but then they back up as they lose side of KT because they are rotating to try and catch HOTSLADY out of position.
And now we have this stalemate here, basically. Both teams not really willing to make the first move. Both teams just waiting and poking. And in the meantime, we see Arthas fighting the Falstad. I think HOTSLADY by now realizes, hey guys, that's only a 3-man squadron here by KT. We can afford to go in a little bit more aggressively. But here comes the isolation. Here comes the Haka.
Silence is gone though, it's just the vision affecting Pommy now, and he's able to keep himself alive, so he's rejoining up with his team. It's now a 4v5.
Cocoon.
Falstad, the only one missing. Cocoon is dropped down. Can see do anything about this. Does not look like it. Cocoon pops, stun is dropped, but the Gust and the Certification comes in. They immediately try to turn it round, focusing down Arthas, but it's Arthas though, as we do see Tyrael now in full retreat. Genji with the Dragon Blade takes out Seeing, looks for more. Can he get onto it? Yeah, the grenade from Tychus taking out the Uther, and Neptune cannot sustain through that. It is 3 kills for 0, going over to HOTSLADY.
That was an incredible hold by HOTSLADY. For a moment, I thought that everything was over. The moment I saw this Sanctification here, right there, I thought it was all over because nobody on the side of KT took any damage. The Divine Shield also keeping the Greymane safe and sound. But look at that Dragon Blade. They used all of their cooldowns to really keep those warriors away from them, that they totally forgot about Meng on that Genji, and it all went south from there. Securing the Immortal was very good for HOTSLADY here. It's a fully charged, fully pimped Immortal, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a rough defense here. But once again, kudos to Pommy also keeping everyone alive, and that's the situation where Karazim thrives in. Once everyone is grouped around you, similar to an Oriole, you're going to be able to hit everyone with that Breath of Heaven, and that is such a powerful AoE burst heal.
Falstad dropping poke damage from afar. He has gone for the Gathering Storm and the Boomerang, so he's just dropping as much harassment damage from as big a distance as he can, but he does miss out on the sustained damage, which is something we have been seeing a little bit in the fights due to Genji kind of ignoring that burst damage, especially due to his own deflect.
Yeah, there we go. Also want to highlight the value of Arthas in that situation. Slowing down Greymane's attack speed, slowing down Falstad's attack speed, who went for a more mage build, but still, those basic attacks are a huge asset to him and a huge portion of his overall damage output. So Arthas, in those clumped up situations, there's hardly any warrior in the game that gets more value out of those situations than Arthas. So good.
His Immortal still with so much of a shield, actually. They're actually going to get the
lockdown.
Keep without too much trouble. The Gust does help, but the Keep is so low. The Immortal doing so much damage. Cocoon is used. They're going in, but with the Divine Shield, they're able to turn around at least a little bit. And Tyrael is now safe and sound. Sanctification is available. Looks like they may have to try and team fight this. Dahaka is still in that bush behind. He's on his way with the extra speed here. While stun just missing Tyrael. The focus on the Falstad, able to barrel roll out as in comes Dahaka from behind. Sanctification is dropped the isolation on Falstad, but a perfect palm, keeping him alive. Dragon Blade is used, and HOTSLADY turning it around. Pommy escaping. The Dragon Blade reset. 1, 2, 3, and they're going for the core. That is a beautiful play, and HOTSLADY are going to be able to take this game. What a Dragon Blade turnaround, and what a palm from Pommy.
What a play by Pommy here, indeed. Not only did he land that golden palm to keep everyone alive, but also he escaped Greymane multiple times, who was really on his chase, on his path. And that alone, ladies and gentlemen, shows why Karazim is such a highly versatile and such a highly impactful support. And I had my doubts about Pommy. I haven't really remembered what he was capable of doing, but boy did he surprise us all. And HOTSLADY, they broke the curse. They finally took their first 2-0 victory, catapulting themselves ahead of their straight up contenders KT.
And also putting themselves, I believe, ahead of Soa. They're on 3 points. Soa are on 5 points. So those 3 points, HOTSLADY have moved themselves into 5th place. 1 point now behind RPG. With still 1 day to go of our first rotation. And then we move into our second rotation. The fact is, guess what? HOTSLADY gets to play against Wukong. They're going to get a lovely set of points there. Whereas RPG and KT have to play against each other. So on the other hand, a little bit less lucky, they have E-Star.
Yeah, so things are looking good for HOTSLADY, especially if you take a look at next week, as Tetris said. Probably 3 free points against Wukong Gaming, whereas all their rivals are facing each other or facing bigger fish in the pond like E-Stars. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was HOTSLADY. And you know what? I'm just so happy to see this team do so well. Not only because they deserve it, but also because all the Chinese experts were wrong. Nobody predicted a 2-0 in favor of HOTSLADY.
That's true. That's true. Very nicely done by them there. So I like it. Well done, HOTSLADY. What did we predict? I can't remember.
I think we were all leaning towards a 1-1. So I definitely know that we didn't say 2-0 in favor of HOTSLADY, right? So
no, I don't think so. We talked about their mechanics and their map control, etc. But I don't think we straight out predicted it. Either way, nicely played by HOTSLADY, moving themselves up in the bracket. Here's the MVP. He did in fact hit his buttons very well. It is Genji doing Genji things. Meng gaining that MVP.
Looks like a Shaolin student here with that hand pose. I like it. And he finally had a game where he made all the difference. We've been criticizing it on the Li Ming in particular, where he oftentimes looked very inconsistent and very wonky. But this time around, Meng stepped it up. He played Genji, and those Dragon Blades were single-handedly the one reason why KT crumbled under all the pressure. Gotta give it to Pommy too, though. That Karazim play was stellar.
Yeah, Genji would not have done as well if it wasn't for Pommy, but Pommy cannot kill an entire enemy team by himself. So those two together, great job. It's a shame we cannot have 2 MVPs.